Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point. And right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, when you name it, we're on the platform. We're on there. You've come to the right place. We go live basically every single day, bringing the most up-to-date content, including today, where we're going to be previewing the Los Angeles Rams season preview for 2022-23. This is our last season preview. We got them all done before the season started. So, round of applause for us here at Prime Sports World. It was my goal to get this done before the first preseason game, and we have done that. The content coming in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be previewing the season a little bit more overall and vaguely, do some award stuff. We're going to be doing some fantasy stuff. We're also going to be continuing to follow the NBA as the offseason continues to roll on and as we get closer to their training camp as well. I will share the StreamYard link into all of the places, including the main Facebook Prime Sports World Facebook page. So if you want to join us and talk a little bit of Los Angeles Rams football, you're more than welcome to do so. Let's get into it. Los Angeles Rams, the reigning Super Bowl champion, TJ. Happy Monday, by the way. How are you?
Kind of irritated, but I bought a universal remote for my TV, and it's just not programming the way I want it. It's just not happening. I'm gonna keep trying though, but other than that, I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty good. I started a new job last week, right? And
Right.
so I produced I started last week. This is my second Monday there. I produced an entire show today, and it went really well, and I'm very pleased with the show. I was a little nervous because all the different systems and stuff, but
Right.
it was my first show. Went well. I thought after a week, to jump into the driver's seat after a week was pretty awesome. So, man, the rush of live TV, dude, there's nothing like it. It's just great. It's real fun. And then I went to the gym, and I found a gym out here to play some basketball. So I went and did that for a little bit, played a little bit 21, played a little bit 32. Actually, funny enough, so I mentioned, hey, let's play a game of 32. They didn't know what it was.
Really?
Yeah, so they don't play 32 here in Indiana. Also, they don't do the crypt here either.
Oh, so if you miss, you don't get your layup?
Yeah, no.
No. I need. Hey, run me my crib, bro. I need that.
Yeah, but no, it's they didn't do that in Florida either when I lived there. But I just figured Indiana's right next door to us. I figured for sure they do it there. And every time I'd pass the guy, I get a rebound, I'd immediately pass it to the guy to get and he just continues shooting. I'd be like, oh, I guess this isn't a thing here. So yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, let's talk about Los Angeles Rams. It's time for their season preview. Let's talk about them a little bit. So what are we expecting out of them for their seasons this year, coming off of the Super Bowl trophy? We will get into their storylines. We'll get into their draft or lack thereof a draft. We'll get into their free agency, and then we'll get into the schedule.
I expect them. Well, I really don't expect no Super Bowl hangover. I don't expect that at all. I expect the complete opposite. There's nothing better than that taste of winning, right? And when you have a guy like Aaron Donald on your staff or on your team, where the one thing he was literally missing is the one thing he finally got, you don't want to be content with, all right, I got my one. We got our one. We can just coast. Yeah, it's good. We can be complacent. Aaron Donald's in the conversation for the best defensive player ever.
Yeah, right? Even if he doesn't win it, he's probably already in that conversation at somewhere, in the top 10, 5-ish.
But what better way than to solidify your case as the best ever than to just keep winning, right? Lawrence Taylor has 2 Super Bowls, if I'm not mistaken.
He does.
Right? On top of MVP, well, Aaron Donald's not going to win an MVP
unless he does something absurd. He would have even breaking the sack record. I don't think would be enough.
And you know how I feel about that. That's just completely wrong. That if you break the sack record, the most you can get is your DPOI. That's it. But and another guy in Matt Stafford, who the narrative about him has completely changed.
It's 100% true. We'll talk about Matthew Stafford here with the first storyline. But yeah, when I talk about the Rams, I don't expect them to have a Super Bowl hangover. I don't expect it to be a drop off. Like, this is a team, that did some nice moves in the offseason to reload on this roster. We'll talk about the couple of places where they're going to have to figure stuff out. But I think that's why they have the roster that they built. They have obviously one of the better coaches in the NFL in Sean McVay. I mean, the guy has been a guru since he got there. He took that team with Jared Goff to the Super Bowl, and then he upgraded that quarterback position. Now they're champions. Let's get into the storylines. Let's first of all talk about Matthew Stafford and this concerning elbow injury. When I was watching the Jaguar games, they mentioned that it was similar to like a baseball elbow injury. What is your level of concern for Matthew Stafford on his right elbow? Off-season fatigue. What's your level of concern for Matthew Stafford and this elbow injury, and what do they do if he can't play?
Well, the Rams were the first ones to be like, all our veteran guys, all our key contributors, training camp, preseason, y'all don't need that. So I doubt he's throwing anyway right now. Like, he's probably not gonna play in any preseason games. Like, I don't expect none of those guys to play in any preseason games.
No, there's no point for Matthew Stafford to be playing in the preseason.
So right now, the less pressure.
I think you would probably like to get some reps between Allen Robinson and him, but I think that'll just come.
Yeah, that'll come. Like, but the less stress on that elbow, the better. Obviously, it's not something like like Tommy John, because he didn't have any surgery on the elbow. It hasn't been announced that he needs surgery on that elbow, so thank God it's not that serious. But if Matthew Stafford can't go for them, then obviously something's got to be done. If they can't, I don't know who the backup is on that roster, but
1 second. Their backup is John Wolford, Bryce Perkins, and Luis Perez. None of those guys instill you with all that much confidence. John Wolford got his playoff start, if you remember, against Seattle. Yeah, and then he played against the Packers too. Or Jared Goff may have came back, or actually, John Wolford may have started against the Pack. I don't know, but yeah, he played in a playoff game. Again, they won, despite him, I guess.
And so, obviously, if you want to go that route, you can, but if it means multiple games that Matt Stafford is going to be out, I don't know, a guy like an in-division trade can happen where you get a guy like Jimmy G on your roster just until Matt Stafford comes back, or if he does come back, that is if he is out for any super long duration. But until is it concerning? Yeah, because he's your starting quarterback. But is it? What's his name? Sean McVay ain't he already talked about it. He ain't too stressed about it. So he ain't stressed about it. I'm not stressed about it.
My level of concern is not none. I mean, obviously, you would like for this stuff like this to not be a thing, like getting closer to the season. But I think the 49ers, the Rams will be cautious with this, and he probably won't play in the preseason as much as I'd like to get some rapport with some of those new weapons on that team, notably Allen Robinson. But until I guess we get closer to the start of the regular season, he's got 5 weeks or 4 weeks from now. The season doesn't start till the 16th or something of that nature. It's early in September, so he's got time to kind of recover and figure out if this is going to be something serious. The way they made it sound on the broadcast on Thursday, it didn't sound good at all.
They're not there.
It's true. It's true. It's true. But I also see a bunch of conflicting reports. You have a article from ESPN saying that he presses at practice, he downplays the injury, and then we got an article from Bleacher Report that posted today that said elbow injury could be a real problem for the Rams. I don't really know what to make of it, and my level of concern is not none. And you would like to 3 or 4 weeks away from the season to have zero concern for your starting quarterback, a guy you just paid a buttload of money for in the offseason. This is his throwing elbow. So, I'm slightly concerned.
Again, McVay ain't stressed. I'm not stressed.
Okay.
Or if McVay is stressed, he is He has a damn good poker face at hiding it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, moving on from there, we got to talk about trying to replace two future Hall of Famers on this roster. They were on the team when they went to the Super Bowl last year and won. Von Miller and Andrew Whitworth. Right now, it looks like Joe Noteboom is going to try to be the starting left tackle of this team, and then Ashawn Robinson, I guess, is going to be the starting left defensive end on the other side of Leonard Floyd. But who needs to step up in order to replace those two guys? It's not easy replacing future Hall of Famers, first ballot Hall of Famers at that. How did the Rams recover from, like, how did they replace these guys?
Well, there's a reason why Andrew Whitworth was allowed to play, was able to play till he was 40, like literally. Right, that's a reason. Like, they brought him back. They could have moved off of Andrew Whitworth a couple times older, right? When you like 36, 37, 38, 39, and eventually 40, it's like, all right, dude, you're kind of long in the tooth there. But my quarterback's blind side has no better protection outside of some guy named Trent Williams.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I mean, yeah, Andrew Whitworth has been a consummate pro. I mean, he's been the best left tackle in football. Maybe not the best, but he's in the conversation of the top 5 basically since he was drafted in the league when he was in Cincinnati.
Yeah, so you just hope that Noteboom picked up the tricks of the trade. He listened to him because Noteboom is 27 years old, right? And if he plays his cards right, he can be the next version of Andrew Whitworth for them. Obviously, I don't think they will get to the draft. I don't think they drafted one. I don't think they drafted a left tackle or any kind of tackle for that matter.
We'll get into the draft. They did not take an offensive lineman in this draft. Oh, yes, they did. They took in the 6th round, they took an offensive tackle out of Michigan State.
So, it's. I think the bigger concern might be Von Miller because, like, while Von Miller wasn't, their every down D end or edge rusher, it was the timely pressures that you brought Von Miller in to do. All right, 3rd and 5, get our defense off the field. Right, 3rd and 2, get us off the field. Like that kind of thing. Obviously, like that's a whole of the field because you already know Aaron Donald's going to come in 2 or 3 on
depending on the day and the team that he's going up against.
Depending on the day or 3, right? Leonard Floyd has turned himself into.
He's really recovered his career. He was a top 10 pick in Chicago or fringe top 10. I don't remember exactly. He was like an 8th pick, I think, and he never really developed into the pass rusher the Bears were looking for. They also expected him to be he's a very good 3rd down edge rusher. He's not going to be an every down guy. And Leonard Floyd's really done a nice job to recover his career, but. Yeah, I actually agree with you. I mean, the replacing Von Miller is going to be very difficult. Like, Ashawn Robinson's going to take the first shot at it. I mean, he's a fine player, but that's Von Miller. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's probably a top 10 defensive player ever.
And Von Miller wanted to get paid, so hey, get paid, bro.
Don't hate it.
Don't hate it at all. Like, go help Buffalo get that chip because they are definitely going after it, right? So I'm gonna go with Von Miller. I think they're gonna have a harder time replacing him. It's just tough. Where I'm like, it's easy to get what's the word I'm looking for? It's easy to get lost on a star-studded defense like that, right? Like, obviously, because like you're on a defense where, you're Von Miller, but you're no longer the focal point of attention. All right, you're probably not even the 3rd talking point on that defense, right? So first and foremost, you got Aaron Donald, right? Like, that's first.
Jalen Ramsey, arguably the best corner in the league, even though he did not have a good Super Bowl, but
Jalen Ramsey, right? Jalen Ramsey's 2, and then. Then would you go Von Miller at 3? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they have. I mean, probably. I mean,
it's man, it was it's, and that's kind of what he needed because for so many years in Denver he was Like it was
the only
him.
guy. Yeah, the only guy there. The only show in town.
All right, and so and you got what's his name? You got Taylor Rapp at strong safety, who is
A good football player as well.
like, it's just look, and they just got Bobby Wagner. Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we'll talk about Bobby Wagner when we get to the free agency segment. But yeah, I think it's obviously Aishawn Robinson is going to have to be. He's 2 sacks last season. He's going to have to put up more than that productivity wise. He's 27 years old. He came out of Alabama. I'm looking at the other players on the roster. I mean, Ernest Brown the fourth. I don't know a whole lot. Jonah Williams. I don't know a whole lot about. Terrell Will Lewis, Brandon Thomas, Benton Whitley. Justin Hollins, who's a solid, strong side linebacker. I'm not sure where how you replace Von Miller. I think that's where the real challenge is going to be. I think it'll probably be more of a pass rush by committee kind of thing, where they'll have all of these guys kind of be productive, hopefully, for them to try to replace Von Miller. Because no way one guy is going to do that.
You got guys like Justin Hollins. He has 2 careers. He had 2 sacks last season. Ernest Jones had 1. Right. Greg Gaines had 4.5. So like, okay, I can live with that. That's pretty good production right there.
Yeah.
And like you said, Aishawn Robinson, we had 2 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. And then you go to Aaron Donald with 12.5. And then you go to Leonard Floyd with 9.5. So it's okay. So like, I know what I'm getting out of those 2 dudes up front. Who can and Greg Gaines, so 4.5, 12.5, and 9.5. All right, that's my math and my strong. So that's just around 30 to 30. That's around like 30 sacks.
Oh, so, yeah, it's 30 sacks exactly. Actually, I think you said 12 plus 10. That's 22, and then added 4.5. So yeah, 29.
So it's like
28.
So it's like 4.5.
46. Sorry, math is not my forte either. There's a reason I'm a journalist.
It's like so you got 4.5, 12.5, and 9.5. Right, all those halves equal up to eventually 1. And then so on and so forth. So like, yeah, I know
it's 27. It's 27. Let's just.
I know
no more math on the show here today.
I know what I'm getting out of those 3 dudes, right? So I gotta replace Von Miller. So yeah.
Oh, it's International Cat Day. Oh, that's great. Sorry.
You're so random.
It was like a little, like on my computer, there's like a little icon that has like these 3 cats on it. I was like, what is that? And I clicked on it. It's International Cat Day. My cat's not here right now. That's kind of sad. Yeah, my cat is currently at my parents' house, doing cat things. Anyways, moving on to the third storyline before we get way sidetracked here. Let's talk about who you think is going to win the Super Bowl in 2022-23. Would you take the Rams or would you take the field if you were a betting man, which I know you're not? Oh,
was that Thunder?
Yeah, dude. Oh man, it's pouring out here, dude. Hopefully I don't lose power because that could be a thing.
I would, if I was a betman, I would have to take the field because the last team to repeat was the Patriots way back when, right? Like they were the last team to repeat. No team has repeated as Super Bowl champion since them.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show you, like, yo, it's hard. Like everybody can talk about, run it back. We're gonna do it again until it's actually time to do it again, right? Like it's so you're the defending champ. Everybody on your schedule, all right, you're gonna get everybody's best, right? And it's gonna be games where you think that you should blow this team out the water, and all of a sudden, that quarterback who has accuracy issues is throwing dots. Just straight dimes, right? Like the receiver that's normally dropping stuff is catching everything because he's playing you.
Yeah,
like that's what you're up against now.
I mean, that's what Tom Brady's dealt with basically his entire career. Like every year, Tom Brady's like, yeah, you're gonna get everybody's best because they all want it to be like, oh yeah, I beat Tom Brady that one time.
I beat the defending Super Bowl champ. Like
I do think that I'm gonna take the field. I think the Rams, they're good, and I think they will be a playoff team. But like when I look at the NFC, like Green Bay, I think they have gotten worse this offseason for sure. Tampa Bay has gotten better. I mean, you look at the AFC. I think Tampa Bay is the only team I'm really super scared of in the NFC when it comes to the Rams. And then in the AFC, I mean, but the thing is that they only have to play one of those teams in the Super Bowl. as long as they can get to the Super Bowl, they don't have to worry about one of those teams. Like they don't have to play the Chiefs, the Bills, like the Bengals. Like they're not gonna have to play all those teams to play. They'll just have to play one of them.
They got to play one, and and the AFC is gonna be it's just so much of a gauntlet. So like how we used to, kind of kill the Patriots for having an easy road, right? Like their division was easy for 20 years. All right, and then all of a sudden you get a first round bye, so you don't like the greats that Tom Brady used to have to face. He didn't have to face them until basically it was on his terms. Like he never saw Peyton Manning until either the divisional
or the conference.
Or the conference championship.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll take the field too. I think there are some real contenders in the AFC that can beat the Los Angeles Rams, especially since, as we mentioned in the last storyline, like Von Miller and Aaron Worth are not walking through that door. Like they're gonna have to find a way to replace these guys. But yeah, moving on from there, let's go to their draft or lack thereof. They traded away their first two picks. One of them for Jalen Ramsey, the other one or Matthew Stafford, actually, the other one for Von Miller this past season. So they started with a third-round pick. They took Logan Bruss, the guard out of Wisconsin. They took a Durant, quarterback out of South Carolina State. Jacoby Durant, Kyron Williams, running back out of Notre Dame. Quentin Lake, safety out of UCLA. De'Aaron Kendrick, quarterback out of Georgia. Daniel Hardy, linebacker out of Montana State. Russ Weiss, safety out of Kansas State. And AJ Curry, offensive tackle out of Michigan State, as the lone offensive tackle they took in this year's draft. So taking a look at their draft, what do we think about what they did in the draft?
Well, in the words of Les Snead, F them picks.
Yeah.
All right, so Les Snead right now looks like a genius because all those first and second round picks he traded away resulted in him getting a Super Bowl, right? Like So GMs of the world out there, that includes the couch ones, couch GMs too. Like you cannot say your team should do this, that, and the third because the Rams did it. No, that's not how it works. First off, you have to have the personnel that the Rams had prior to those trades, right? So unless Aaron Donald is already on your staff, on your team, don't talk about trading the first round pick, right? Like, it's just not gonna help. It's just not gonna happen. Right? Like no team is gonna risk basically blowing up their future for a maybe championship, because if the Rams don't win the championship, look how bad Les Snead looks.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you're gonna roll the dice on that, I mean, you gotta basically.
If you roll,
you have to be productive. So let's talk. Yeah, Jacoby Durant, 5'9", 180, real small corner, out of South Carolina State, 4.38 in the 40, which is real fast. Logan Bruss, the guard out of Wisconsin, 6'5", 309. Wisconsin has been known to produce really good offensive linemen, in the Big Ten. So yeah, that's a pretty solid pick. Looking at the rest of their picks.
I like Kyron Williams out of Notre Dame. I think that could be a big pickup for them, especially if they do the whole our running back by committee.
Which I'm sure they will, because they have Cam Akers and Darnell Henderson. They lost Sonny Michel in free agency. I do think this guy's going to play some.
Yeah, well, he's the third string running back as of right now. So yeah, I like that. Like that's a big pickup for them.
And Quentin Lake played 5 seasons at UCLA. He had 3 interceptions, 6 packs defended, 1 in last season. So that's a guy who probably will see the field. And then this kid from Georgia, the cornerback, 4 interceptions in 2021, tied for the third most in the SEC. And he did not allow a touchdown in 2021 as the primary defender for the Georgia Bulldogs team that was stout on defense.
You talking about Darian? Yeah, again, Darian Kendrick. Darian Kendrick, again, on a Georgia team, on a stout Georgia team, it's hard to separate yourself. Right? It's hard to separate yourself and make yourself look good when you're on a just absolutely studded team. Right? Like no one talks about Darian Kendrick not allowing any touchdowns on him in SEC play.
No, yeah, it didn't allow any. Not even in non-SEC play. Did not allow a touchdown in the entire season.
The entire season, no one talked about
5'11", 194, 4.78 in the 40, which isn't exactly ideal.
So
a little slower than you'd like, but I mean,
unless you really follow Georgia football like that, I obviously yeah, you knew that. But for that level of production to go into the 6th round,
yeah, it's weird. I think it's 40 time. Definitely heard him. And then this kid from this guy Daniel Hardy, this linebacker out of Montana State. How many sacks do you think he had last year?
Over under 10. Just a hint.
Over 10.
Over 10. I'm gonna go 16.
16 and a half. And he had 24.5 tackles for loss, 16 and a half sacks, 70 tackles, and 15 games for Montana State last year. Yeah, this is a guy who's super underrated and probably really might end up being somebody who's productive for them in the next level. 6'3", 240 as an edge rushing linebacker. It's pretty good value. And then, yeah.
Go ahead.
And then the kid from Michigan State, 6'7", 320 pounds. Yeah, he started 17 games at left tackle and 8 at right tackle when he spent 6 seasons at Michigan State. He must have redshirted, and then he got the COVID year. So he could be somebody who's productive for them in the Big Ten. As a backup swing tackle who can play either tackle position. I actually think I kind of like what they did with their draft, even though they had limited selections. I think they made them count.
Well, yeah, he is listed as as the 3rd right tackle on the depth chart. I don't know what the plan is, but because as of right now, they only have 1 center. So I don't know if they might want to swing him as like a backup center, because you don't want to go into the season with just 1 center.
Well, on ESPN.com, they have 2 centers. They have Brian Allen, and then they have Coleman Shelton, who's also on this team.
Oh, never mind. I take that back. They do have 2. I just scrolled over too far. But so he's 4th on the depth chart then. Good God.
Yeah, but I do think he's going to see some. I think there's potential he could see some playing time at left tackle or right tackle, depending how things go. You're always nice to have a swing tackle who can play either tackle position. You got to love that. But yeah, I actually think they did a pretty stellar job. And I'll give them a solid B for their draft. I think they did a pretty good job with the limited picks they had, getting stuff and dragging dresses of need. So good for them.
Again, F the picks, but continue.
Moving on to free agency roster shakeup. First of all, their notable additions: Bobby Wagner, Allen Robinson. Their notable departures: Von Miller, Darius Williams, Sonny Michel, Johnny Hecker, Robert Woods, Odell Beckham Jr. I have an asterisk next to there because there's potentially he could still come back to this team at some point, and maybe if he gets up, depending on what his recovery is like. So I put an asterisk next to him, but for now, he's not on the team. This is what happens when you lose the Super Bowl unless you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like it's hard to bring everyone back for a team that won the Super Bowl. I mean, Robert Woods, got injured, and they got a good deal from the Titans for him. Von Miller wanted to get paid. Darius Williams they straight up just couldn't afford him. And I do like the players that they brought in. Bobby Wagner should give them some leadership at the linebacker position because they had Troy Reeder, who was not good at all in the playoffs. If they had. And then Allen Robinson, if you lose Robert Woods and you bring in Allen Robinson, who's probably a better receiver today than Robert Woods is today.
Yeah, well, first off, it's personal with Bobby Wagner.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, usually you release him like he was never nothing.
Right.
No pageantry, no nothing.
And for you to not even have the dignity to call him in and tell him what was going on. He found out like how we found out. He found out on Twitter.
Yeah.
That he was getting released. And when you've done all you've done for that organization, right? Like you're the last domino. Like you are the last Legion of Boom domino to fall. Like Sherm gone. Cam Chancellor retired. Earl Thomas gone. Brandon Browner, I think, is in jail. KJ Wright retired. KJ Wright literally just retired.
He did. Yeah, he signed with the team. He went through one practice and retired.
What's his name? Michael Bennett retired. And yeah, you were it. You're the last one. So for you that just goes to show you again, like I will never fault any player in any team sport. Hey, trade me. Like I will never fault any player ever. in any hey, trade me, because at the drop of a hat, that's what happened to Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner won this team he helped win a Super Bowl for this team.
Yep, helped him go to a second one. Was
Helped
part of the defense. Had one part of a defense that went to the playoffs mostly every single season outside the last one.
And the thanks he got was to get released, and they didn't even have the dignity to call him.
Yeah, Brandon Browner is in prison. In 2018 he was sentenced to 8 years in prison.
So yeah, Brandon Brown is in jail. So and Allen Robinson is, if there was ever again, Allen Robinson is trying to give his career a resurgence, right? The narrative on Allen Robinson right now is that he quit on the Bears.
Yeah, 100%.
However false it may be, right? That's the narrative. Like, bro, like the narrative is you quit on the Bears, like you quit on the coaching staff. That's the narrative, right? I get it. You and the coaching staff were at odds, and it got to the point where they didn't even want you on the field. Who's at fault? I don't know. I don't care either, because there's a way to there's a certain way to handle everything, and in situations like that, everybody's at fault.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Allen Robinson needs to definitely rejuvenate his career, and I think this is what happens when you win a Super Bowl. Your roster gets too expensive, especially you're trading away draft picks for known commodities. I mean, because the difference is that like a lot of those Tampa Bay guys were all on rookie deals, and so they were able to just re-sign them. But these are established players. Von Miller.
The guys that they could have re-signed, they re-signed because of what's his name. Most of their secondary was on rookie deals.
Yep.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so they didn't have to worry about, I got to re-sign Winfield Jr. I got to re-sign this corner. No. So they were able to just literally just re-sign everybody. This is different because if Odell Beckham doesn't tear his ACL, not only does he get paid, Allen Robinson, Odell's Super Bowl MVP. He was on track to win Super Bowl MVP.
I agree, man. He was so dominant in that first quarter, for real. But yeah, this is what happens. I like the additions of Bobby Wagner and Allen Robinson. We'll see if they can recover from the losses of Von Miller and obviously of Andrew Whitworth, who retired.
The unsung person I think they really gonna miss is Johnny Hekker.
Oh yeah, I agree. That's the reason I did. I mean, how often do you see when I put these graphics together? I put a punter on the list.
You put if you want a punter to flip field position, Johnny Hekker. You want to run a fake, Johnny Hekker.
yeah. But swinging in for free ends, let's talk about the schedule. Their first game of the season is against the Buffalo Bills. This is the opening game of the Thursday, first game of the season. Buffalo comes into SoFi Stadium. The Rams are going to get those rings and right up that banner. Do they beat Buffalo on opening night? Yes or no?
Oh, so we get Von Miller getting his ring.
Yeah.
Former teammates. They probably gonna mob him at midfield or whatever. Do they beat Buffalo? I think Buffalo's on a mission.
I agree with you. I think Buffalo is on a mission, but when we did the Buffalo Bills season preview, I only had Buffalo losing one game.
This
is the game they lose. It's just going to be the spectacle, the atmosphere. It's just going to be too much. I think the Rams are going to feed off of it. Hollywood, unless there's some sort of scenario where Matthew Stafford doesn't play in this game. But I don't think that'll be the case. I think he'll play. I think he'll be ready to go. I got the Rams winning this game. I think it'll be close, real close.
Okay, I ain't picking a blowout or nothing. All right, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go LA by a touchdown. I think they beat them by a touchdown.
And then the Atlanta Falcons come into town after they have that tough game against Buffalo. The Rams get 10 days off before they have to see the Atlanta Falcons come into the SoFi Stadium. Do they beat Atlanta?
This game might be over after the first quarter, man.
It's true. You give the Rams 10 days off before they get to face the Atlanta Falcons, who have an identity crisis, and then they go to the Big Toaster to take on the Arizona Cardinals. This game is in Glendale, Arizona. Do they beat the Arizona Cardinals in the Big Toaster, TJ?
Yes,
I agree with you. I think they sweep the Arizona Cardinals actually.
Absolutely. Yes.
Speaking of teams that are going to sweep in the NFC West, I also think they sweep the San Francisco 49ers as well. They go into Levi Stadium and they beat San Francisco.
Yeah, the one guy who's actually been able to have the 49ers number is not playing, and that's Jimmy G. Like the first time the Rams beat Jimmy Garoppolo since he's been in San Francisco was the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Like they were 1-5 or 0-5, 0-6, something like that against the 49ers when Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. So that's what Trey Lance kind of has to
Replicate.
that's gonna be that's gonna be back here, dude. Like that's gonna be like it's your show now. So but
I
like
mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's been real good for the 49ers. Like, good luck.
like Jimmy G won 70% of his games as a starter. Yeah. So hey, that's what you got to deal with, Trey. And you ain't winning this game, bro. Like I'm sorry. Like it's no. Like just no.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think Trey Lance is going to have an uphill battle, especially if they don't get Jimmy Garoppolo off the team. Can you I know you were here for the San Francisco 49ers show, but like, can you imagine if let's say Trey Lance gets off to a rough start, like if Jimmy Garoppolo's still on this team, like the clamoring that's going to be happening for Jimmy Garoppolo to be the starter again, if he's still on this team, it's a situation that never ends well for that quarterback that's coming in to try to supplant a veteran who's still on the team. Like we talked about with Patrick Mahomes when he took over Alex Smith. They didn't keep Alex Smith on the team. They traded him away. Like they didn't keep Joe Flacco when Lamar Jackson was ready to be the guy. They traded him away. Like it's never a good recipe to keep a veteran quarterback, a popular veteran quarterback around if you're going to try to supplant him with a young rookie, especially if you're a team that went to the NFC Championship game. Moving on from there, we got two games at home before the bye week. First, they go to the Dallas comes to town, and then Carolina comes into town. Do they sweep these two games at home before they get into their bye week? TJ?
I heard the question. I'm just looking at you like that. Like that's a real question.
Yeah. I do not think they sweep. I think I think Dallas beats them.
Why?
I like Dallas. I think they're going to be a good team. Like they're going to run. I think they're going to consistently. They're going to run the ball. Yeah, and they're going to be good. They're going to play good football. Right. I got Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys handing the Los Angeles Rams their first loss, but I do not have the Carolina Panthers rolling into SoFi and beating the Rams because I just don't think that's going to happen. Especially since none of those quarterbacks have apparently looked good in training camp for the Carolina Panthers. So it's not exactly a recipe for the success.
Okay. So let's unpack. Let's unpack this Dallas situation first and foremost. Okay, so Trayvon Diggs is gonna get matched up with Cooper Kupp. Good luck, kid. You're gonna.
Yeah,
that's a hard. That's. I
mean, their other corner. What is it? Troy Brown is the other corner on the other side. Who's looked awesome in training camp. You don't think that's well.
That's training camp, but Oh, I don't even think it's Troy Brown. I think it's I think his name like AJ Brown or something like that.
No, too. it's hold on.
It's AJ something.
No, it's not. It's Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown. Yeah.
So so Anthony Brown is probably gonna be matched up with
Allen Robinson.
Good luck. And Van Jefferson is still on this team. Say what you want about him, but
he's hurt right now. That's why they signed somebody recently. So Van Jefferson got hurt. He's a little nicked up right now. He should be fine by the start, but they still have Tutu Atwell who can fly.
And he's gonna be fine by this Dallas game. So there's that.
Okay, fair enough.
So, and that's just on offense. Right, like that's literally just on Dallas.
With that being said, I'm still gonna take the Dallas Cowboys to win the game. I'm gonna stick to my guns here.
Your faith is immaculate. It really is.
Yeah. And then we have they go after the bye. San Francisco comes into town, and if San Francisco couldn't beat them in their house, they sure as shit ain't beat them in SoFi Stadium. That's another W for the Rams.
Yeah, this could be. I don't know. Like both of them games could be just. Whew,
Yeah, trouncings. And then they go. Arizona comes into, or they go to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a rematch of an epic playoff game from a season ago. Who wins this game, Tampa Bay or Tom Brady or Matthew Stafford?
I'm gonna go with Tampa because last time they played, the nail in the coffin that was that game wasn't even the original call on the play, right? The deep bomb to Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
That was a decoy route. That ball was not supposed to go to Cooper Cup. That was a deep. So the fact that Tom Brady feel like, yo, I got beat on a decoy route, and that's not to mention like the Rams did completely fall apart.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like that game should never have gotten to the point where that game was like tied or they needed some miracle to win the game.
Exactly,
It just shouldn't have.
Like the last.
But yeah, I'm taking Tampa Bay as well to win that game. I think Tom Brady always seems to take these kind of games personally, so I expect that to be the same here. After that, they go into.
This is my first. Yeah, this is their first L on my account.
Yeah, I got them with 2 losses at this point. Then Arizona comes into SoFi Stadium. I have them getting off the schneid. They have 1-game losing streak. They did not lose another, at least not here. So I got them beating Arizona. I have them going to 9-2.
Yeah. I mean, by this point, what's his name? DeAndre Hopkins should definitely be back. Yeah, he should be back by this point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This might be his second. Or it might be his second game back.
Yeah, something like that. So it might be a bit more interesting, to say the least. But I just think defensively, I don't know what the Cardinals. I don't know if the Cardinals can like hang around with the Rams.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I know they paid Kyler Murray, but I don't think it's going to happen. Moving on from there, we got the 2 games on the road. I think this is probably their most difficult stretch of the entire season. Actually, no, they got a couple other ones that are difficult too. But they go back-to-back games on the road. First, they go to the south, into the Bayou, take on the New Orleans Saints. And then they go into Arrowhead and take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Of these 2 road games, do you think they can win them both?
New Orleans, yeah. Kansas City is a coin toss.
See, I actually feel different. I actually feel the opposite about this. I actually think they beat Kansas City, and then I think they struggle against the New Orleans Saints. So I will take I will take them to lose to New Orleans, and I have them beat Kansas City.
Oh, I don't hate that. I really don't. Well, the last time they played in New Orleans, we know what happened. We know what happened. I think, like, literally, like, the last time the Rams played in New Orleans, we know what happened.
And we do know what happened. Yeah, one of the worst calls in the history of the league.
So, and it's.
But I mean, when you look at New Orleans, man, they can be really good. Like they're like a dark horse, like playoff team, dude. Like for real.
Yeah, they are.
Like a dark horse Super Bowl contender. Like how good that defense could be this season. It could be something really special. Like for real. Like look at the pieces they've added. Jarvis Landry. I mean, yeah. New Orleans. I mean, if Jameis Winston can keep good Jameis bad, like the Jekyll Hyde stuff. If Hyde, whatever one the bad one was, if Jekyll or whatever he'd stay on the field for most of Jameis Winston this season, New Orleans is going to be really good.
So yeah, that's what you call it. Like that's the enigma that New Orleans is going to deal with, right? And Mr. Hyde is the bad one too.
Okay, thank you.
Just to point that out. But so, yeah, if the Jekyll Hyde, 30 for 30 Jameis Winston, and I think what's going to hurt him is the one guy that put him in a position to not be that turnover prone is no longer there. Sean Payton ain't calling plays for him no more.
Yeah, I mean, so most of the coaching staff is still there. I mean, Dennis Allen's still there. I mean, I'm not concerned about I'm not concerned at all about Jameis. I think he's going to be fine. But I do think they're going to beat the Rams. This game's in New Orleans, and I do think Kansas City, because of their own defensive problems they could potentially have this season with their secondary not being all that good and replacing Tyrann Mathieu. Yeah, I think Kansas City's. I think the Rams beat Kansas City in Kansas City. How do you have those two games shaken out? You have the opposite. You have them beating New Orleans,
New
and then
Orleans and they lose to Kansas City. Because I
okay.
think New Orleans is just going to be like, obviously, like, I think New Orleans is the tougher matchup because of their defense. Like, that's what I'm getting at. It's going to be like that hard fought. They're going to spend so much energy and they're going to exert so much energy beating New Orleans that they're just not going to have enough recovery to play and beat Kansas City. That's what
Yeah. Okay, I mean, we'll see. They after that they have two games at home. First they play their first matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, and then the Las Vegas Raiders roll into SoFi Stadium. I think they get back on. I think this is where they have a 3-game winning streak. They beat Seattle. I think they beat Las Vegas to recover from that loss to New Orleans. How do you see those two games checking out?
They're going to demolish Seattle.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, my God. That game might not want to be televised, man. Like, seriously. Like, I'm so sick. That game they might not want to put that on TV, local or national.
It's gonna be a bloodbath for real. Well, so I guess we'll see how it ends up shaking out.
And Vegas, it's always entertaining to watch Devontae Adams and J Ram go to battle against each other. We always watch them when they play each other, like whenever Green Bay and the Rams matched up. And what's his name? LaFleur always did a good job of scheming Devontae Adams off of Jalen Ramsey, right? Put him in more favorable matchups, made J Ram chase him all over the field, that kind of thing, to the point where if Jalen Ramsey was on him, he just didn't have enough speed and time to recover and make a play on it.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that Sean McVay started, like, their defensively. I think they started using Jalen Ramsey a little bit differently last season. Like, he was more of was like an area corner. Like, you didn't see him travel with like top corners as much last season.
No, you didn't.
With top wide receivers. So I think that's part of the reason that he made the shift. But I think the Rams are still a better team on paper.
It's that, and you saw more of J Ram like in the box because teams would just, all right, I'm just not gonna throw your way, that kind of thing. But do they beat Vegas? I have them at what, 1 loss, 2 losses so far, Tampa and Kansas City. I could see Vegas being like a trap
game. Because, I mean, the game they play right after this one is going into Lambeau and taking on the Green Bay Packers in November. Or early December. When is that game?
1 second.
That game's in middle of December. Sorry.
Yeah, this is like week.
Yeah, it's in the middle of December.
Yeah, this is like that's like week 14, ain't it?
Yeah. So yeah, 14. Yeah, they got 4 games after that. So yeah, it's 14, 15, 16, 17. But yeah, I think I still think they beat the Raiders. I'll stick with that prediction. And then the next week they go to Lambeau Field into probably their most difficult game of the season, take on the Green Bay Packers. Do they come out of Lambeau with a victory? Yes or no?
I'm gonna say yes, for the simple fact that, again, the question marks that is the Packer receiving core. Right?
I think that's, until I see it in practice, I do not trust any of those wide receivers on those teams. Randall Cobb is a shell of himself. Sammy Watkins is a shell of himself. I mean, Alan Lazar has never been a go-to guy, and they're going to be relying a lot on a rookie and the develop of the other Rodgers, and like the fact that the tight end can come back off that ACL tear and 100%.
Yeah, Robert Tonyan.
Robert Tonyan. Yeah, I think they do beat Green Bay. I think they go into land. I think Green Bay might regress a little bit here this season. We might actually see Aaron Rodgers like human. I know he doesn't stop talking about like his psychedelic drugs and all the crazy stuff he does all the time. Like Aaron Rodgers just needs like for real. Like,
and it's a Monday night game. So like this is a Monday night game. So I'm looking at it right now. They're giving Green Bay a 52.1% chance of winning because that's everybody's record is the same right now. It's 0-0. And that whole like we really got to stop that adage of as long as you got XYZ as your quarterback, you have a chance at winning. Because you may think that, but you really don't. Because we've
And
been
not everybody's Tom Brady. They can win with literally scrap heaps of like when it comes to the wide receiver position. Um,
we got to stop saying that. Like, and even then, David, like when it eventually got too much for him, right?
yeah,
Like
true. I mean, that's why he's in Tampa Bay now. I mean, he didn't want to deal with the scrap heap that was their wide receiver room any longer
so,
to have
like
talent.
we got to stop because as long as we got Aaron Rodgers, we got a chance. A chance
Yeah,
of what?
yeah.
Chance
Um,
to
and
win
then
what?
after they beat Green Bay, and they're on a 3-game winning streak, they go against 2 games against the AFC West. Denver comes into SoFi Stadium, and then they technically are the road team against the Chargers. But I imagine there'll be more Rams fans at that game than Chargers fans, so it will feel like a home game. Do
Absolutely.
they go 2-for-2 against the AFC West to wrap up the season? Then they're beating Seattle.
he goes. He goes. Do they go to? Oh yeah, they're beating Seattle. Yes. Those two Seattle games are going to be Bobby Wagner specials.
Yeah, for real.
And
You
again,
want to disrespect me and release me without even saying goodbye? Like,
and again, because of the extra game and the one less bye, we're going to see teams like the Rams, who we know are going to be playoff teams, but because seeding is more important now than probably ever,
100%. It's not even a debate.
like you can't afford to sit certain guys unless, again, your seating is locked, loaded, no matter what happens, win, lose, draw, you are locked in at that spot. That's the only way teams are going to be able to sit playoff teams. I'm not talking about the teams that don't have a chance in hell at making the playoffs. Like you play everybody, goddamn it. Like you don't have to. Like you shouldn't Jacksonville. You shouldn't be sitting anybody. You play everybody, right? But teams like the Rams, Tampa Bay, the Chargers, even like you can't afford to sit everybody or key contributors because your seating depends on it. Like you don't want to be like, all right, we're gonna sit you this game. We're the 1 seed now, and you lose that game, and you fall all the way to like the 3 seed because 2 other teams win. And instead of a first round bye, now you got to play because you decided to sit players.
Yeah, but with that being said, I still think that they lose to the Chargers. I'll have them beat Denver because that game's in SoFi. But I think I think the Chargers beat them. I look at the Chargers. I'm like, yeah, they have as long as everybody stays healthy, which is a big if for the Chargers, obviously. But they should when we do that, they should have a top 5 defense and offense this season.
And especially that game with the Charge. Well, both games really, both Denver and the Chargers. Like, offensively, that should be great, right? We finally get to see these young receivers in Denver. We're going to see them on a bigger market. We're going to see them in more marquee matchups.
Yep.
And they finally,
and they just lost Tim Patrick, which is a huge loss.
That's a huge loss. So you still got Judy Corton Sutton is back.
And KJ Hamler's back now too. He tore his ACL last season. He's back now.
And Alex O, he's gonna be like he should be tight. Like he should be backup tight end or starting tight end.
He's for sure their tight end 1. I don't know who else.
Yeah, because they traded
Noah Fant is in Seattle.
So Alex O, like you are tight end 1, and if anybody can make magic, it's Russ, and Russ we trust, right?
Yeah.
So offensively, it should be you should be able to hold your own. Denver. And the Chargers, we already know. Right? We already know what y'all come to the park with. We already know. So you have them beating Denver and losing to the Chargers?
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Yeah, I mean the Chargers are going to be really good next season. And then they beat Seattle. I have the Rams finishing this season at 13-4. They're probably in the hunt for the number 1 seed in the NFC. They're probably in the hunt for the number 1 seed in all of the playoffs as well. This is a Rams team that's going to be good next season. And if you're a Rams fan, you have a team that's going to be excited to watch.
So I got them losing to Tampa, KC,
Raiders. Did you say the Raiders?
Yeah, I got a 13-4 too.
Yeah, so
Raiders
yeah, I
in the
think
top.
so. The Rams are going to be really good. They're going to be competing for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Yeah, just look for this team to be productive and to play well. It's going to be a fun team to watch. We'll see what ends up happening. So we'll let you know down in the comment section what you think is going to happen with the Los Angeles Rams. What do you think their record's going to be? I've been David Huppman. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We go live almost every day, bringing you guys the most up-to-date content. And if you happen to miss one of the season previews for one of the teams, they're all on our Facebook page. They're all on our YouTube. They're all on our Twitter. So you can go check us out. I mean, like, we broke down every single team. We gave you an in-depth analysis on every single storyline for all the teams in the NFL. It was a really fun series. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been David Huppman. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what do we do here at the Prom, my friend?
We bring the heat.
Yes, sir. And man, it is humid as all get up here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, my friend. So I'm looking forward to the heat dying down just a smidge.
Well, it's supposed to happen this week, and it's going to be so.
But it has been storming all day. It stormed yesterday as well. So yeah, it was pretty. Weather hasn't been great here in Fort Wayne over the last few days. But I've been David Huppman. Right there is TJ Hopkins. We will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna give you our predictions for all the teams that are going to be making the playoffs in the National Football League. You don't want to miss that content. That'll be there tomorrow. Yeah, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Peace out, guys. Take it easy, brother.